Hey. Hello, everybody. My name is Lee Rudnicki. I'm an entertainment lawyer and producer and the author of How to Pass the California Bar Exam. Despite the unimaginative title, I'm hopeful that this will be one of the most important hours of your legal career. I can make that statement with a little bit of certainty, as my system has helped a ton of people pass the California bar and also the New York bar. My system is it's very different. It's a little outside of the box, but it's based on principles of common sense, competitive performance, and time efficiency. If you follow my plan, your chance of passing the bar exam will increase significantly, if not exponentially. Nothing is guaranteed in life, of course, but my plan works. I'm going to start the presentation with a little story of how and why I went to law school. And this is important for context to know why and how this system that I developed works. Once upon a time, back in the 90s, I was one of the best rudimental drummers in the world. I had won 3 percussion titles at Drum Corps International. I had corporate endorsements from Pearl Drums and Zildjian Cymbals. And I even had my own signature drumstick on the market. Fast forward to the evening of February 15th, 1995, Santa Clara, California. That's when a quick early evening stop at an ATM ended in chaos. A carjacker not only tried to steal my car, but tried to kill me. I ended up running through a hail of bullets across a freeway and into the pages of the San Jose Mercury News. As a result of that crazy experience, everything looked different. And I had the profound realization that other than drumming, I hadn't really experienced the world, hadn't experienced life yet. So as many other people in similar situations have done, I turned a near catastrophe into a catalyst for positive life change. I decided to go to law school. Not to seek revenge on a criminal with anger management issues and bad aim, but to expand my horizons and learn as much as I possibly could about our world. So 48 hours after the Drum Corps tour ended in New York, I found myself in a crowded lecture hall at the University of San Francisco. I sat in the back, and I have never felt more out of place in my life. Allow me to put my level of fear, confusion, and legal ignorance into perspective. During the lecture, our torts professor uttered the word plaintiff. I had absolutely no idea what she was talking about. I was starting at level 0, literally, the law. Semester 1, I worked harder than college or law school, or than high school, excuse me. My study schedule was fueled by the fear of failing out. The problem, as most of you know, is that in law school, in that first semester, you don't really have a barometer to tell you how you're doing. Final exams were not till December, and the grades come out in January. Thus, the only way that I had any idea of how I was doing, or any of us did, was through our legal research and writing class, which had assignments to turn in weekly. My first 4 assignments were an absolute debacle. They failed in every way you can fail: font size, use of commas, let alone the legal principles, which were absolutely devoid. This was the canary in the coal mine, so to speak. After my 4th or 5th assignment I turned in, Professor Robert Brownstone, adjunct professor, great attorney, pulled me aside after class and asked me one fateful question. Do you really want to be a lawyer? Now, this ultimately turned out to be a gift from a professor like none other. My response to that question and his warning that I was about to fail out of law school was to pour my heart and soul into law school. I vowed to give 150% effort every day. If I failed out, it would be with a clear conscience. I was not going to leave anything on the table. I was a 49ers fan at the time, so I adopted the work ethic of the famous wide receiver, Jerry Rice. I got a number 80 jersey and I wore it for every exam. I never took an hour off. I never took a day off. I worked harder than I have ever worked at anything in my life. At night, I would watch an episode of Law and Order just to try to organically absorb something about the law, which I didn't know anything about at the time. I spent hours and hours in the USF Law Library studying practice exams and outlining the answers, trying to figure out what was going on in law school. December came the first round of final exams. As I mentioned, I put on the Jerry Rice jersey for every exam. I treated it like a football game. Went in, put headphones on, listened to loud music. Then when I took the exam, I gave it everything I had. When the exams were over, I felt great. I thought, okay, probably 3 or 4 A's, maybe a B in Civ Pro, because jurisdiction was still a concept that was a little bit nebulous at the time. But I felt very, very good. And then in January, the grades came out. And I had across the board C+, 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 and a B-. And it was a horrible moment because I had given 150% effort. I had no more days in the week, no more hours in the day to give to law school. I knew the work ethic was correct, but something was missing, obviously. So baffled, defeated, a little angry, I scheduled a meeting with my Civ Pro professor to review my exam. I went in there expecting all sorts of notes and legal analysis and some sort of perfectly assessed legal grade that would stand the test of time. And that's not what happened. There was a total of 3 words written on my exam in red pencil. One was, okay. The other 2 words posed the 3rd deepest question in the history of human civilization. It is. I was astonished. And then for a few moments, I got angry again. And then I had an epiphany. My Civ professor was a well-respected and successful attorney and a great teacher. I loved his class. And his grade was consistent with every other class that I had. I had it, as I said, I had a C+ in almost every other class. One way or another, this was all on me. I knew that the problem was not a lack of intelligence. My class was full of super smart people, but I hadn't met anybody that I considered to be a genius, certainly not the people who got the A's. My class was simply a collection of super smart people with different backgrounds and experiences. Obviously, obviously my theory of working super hard had failed. Something was missing. I needed a better plan and I needed one fast. So I changed the mission. I changed the mission to learning how and what to study and learning how to take law school exams. I dedicated myself to understanding the difference between a C student and an A student. I attended every expensive exam seminar there was. I read books and articles about academic performance and athletic performance. I interviewed my professors, I talked to my classmates, and I outlined every old exam I could find. Ultimately, I found the answer. As I suspected, intelligence had nothing to do with law school grades. Zero. The ranks of those who failed and or give up in law school are full of super intelligent people, many of whom got straight A's in college, speak multiple languages, and maybe they could even do math. But the rules for success in law school are different than college. In fact, the comparison between law school and college is not apples versus oranges. It's apples versus the moon. It's completely different. And as you will soon find out as I go through my system, success on the bar exam has nothing to do with your intelligence either. The ranks of those who failed the bar exam over and over and over are full of very intelligent people. The secret to achieving success in law school and on the bar exam is to learn the system that you're competing within and how to succeed within that system. The key lies in your research and preparation, which I've done for you, which you'll find out. So I drafted a new plan. I learned exactly what to study, how to take notes, and how to write an essay exam. and my grades improved. And curiously, I found myself studying less, more focused, but putting in less time. Then something weird happened. Law school became fun. Yes, that's correct. It was fun. I enjoyed going to class all of a sudden. And then something really weird happened in the spring semester of year 2. I got straight A's. A, across the board. Ran the table. Now, my overall GPA was not rock star because, as I stated, I started with C+, but for one day, one semester perhaps, I was the king of USF. My confidence level took off, doors started to open. In year 3, the Student Bar Association hired me to teach contract law, and I landed an internship with an entertainment lawyer and a judicial externship with the California Court of Appeal. It was amazing. Then came graduation and the bar exam, and I drafted a bar exam study plan based upon the same methodology and techniques that I used to get straight A's. At the end of the summer, I killed the bar exam, passed the first time. I'm here today to tell you how to do that. Be forewarned, my plan is a little bit outside of the box. It's even going to contradict a few of the things that you may get told in your bar review class. It's okay. Just take it in and listen to what I'm saying and the rationale behind it. Now, there are 4 what I call existential fears. As you graduate, as graduation approaches, you're going to start to worry about the bar exam. And that worry, as the summer comes like a freight train, it can morph into anxiety, stress, and fear. And I'm telling you here and now, relax. There's no need to be afraid. Everybody that you know in law school is a little afraid at this point of the game. Everybody feels a little burned out. Everybody is questioning their ability to persevere. It's all good. It's supposed to feel like that. The bar exam is a rite of passage. It's time for you to stand up with confidence and own the insecurities. It's time to take the bar exam once, do it right, and never do it again. Now, the 4 existential fears that I mentioned, these are fear of the bar exam manifesting itself in other ways. And any one of these 4 can throw you out of your game and cause you to fail the bar exam. So I'm going to mention them. The first one is you might start to feel at this point in the game, I'm not sure if I really want to be a lawyer. You might contemplate a new career where you don't need to take the bar, but you still will make millions of dollars with your law degree. You might contemplate starting a business, writing a script or novel about law school, maybe travel Europe for a couple months. It all sounds genius. My rebuttal is your plan is not genius. On behalf of your family, your friends, and yourself 6 months from now, sit down and shut up. And I mean that respectfully. This is not the time to reinvent the concept of a legal career, nor the time to second guess your career path. You don't get to have second thoughts right now. You're taking the bar exam. But one thing should make you feel better. You haven't tried being a lawyer yet. You don't know the first thing about being a lawyer, and that includes all of you who had an internship, an externship, or a part-time happy law firm gig where you got to pretend you were a lawyer for a few months. Being an attorney who is making a living and helping people solve problems and or achieve their dreams is completely different than anything you have ever done before in your life. If done right, you will have the career of your dreams. Countless people hated law school with a passion, suffered through the bar, and then absolutely loved being an attorney. Right now, you don't know where you fit in. It took me a little while to find my niche. I absolutely hated working in a law firm, to be perfectly honest. It was a terrible fit for my personality and skill set. But after I moved to LA and a few years of hard work, my law degree enabled me to walk the red carpet at the Cannes Film Festival, produce movies all over the world, spend a ridiculous amount of time in Italy, and occasionally make far more money in 1 month than I ever made in 1 year. Many lawyers have a much more amazing story to tell than I do in that regard. For a few people, it's the other way around. They discover being a lawyer is not for them. In either case, right now is not the time to ponder an alternative career. You can do that after you pass the bar. Then you can make decisions with a clear head and you'll have many options. All of them will be good. If you give up now, you're going to spend the rest of your life explaining that decision to annoying people who didn't have courage to go to law school in the first place. The reality is you're in the game, you're taking the bar exam, and it's all good. Existential fear number 2 is you feel that you're totally exhausted. You need 6 months off. That, my friends, is a self-perpetuating psychosomatic fantasy, like a little kid making himself feel sick to avoid going to school on Monday morning. My rebuttal is you don't need time off. It's not exhaustion, it's fear. Your psyche went into fight or flight mode and it's trying to find a way out of the bar exam. Yes, it's impossible to not be a little tired right now, but you're not too tired to keep studying for a few more months and become a lawyer, especially if you follow the plan that I'm about to lay out. And you're not alone. Everyone you know is tired and wondering if they will survive this summer. Your pals with the bravado, they're the most scared of all. It's a big act. The reality is, if you take 6 months off now, your knowledge of the law will be dated. You'll have to relearn a ton of material just to get back to right here. So relax. Tell that panicked voice in your head to go away. Life will calm down considerably as graduation continues to fade. Then you'll have a nice long summer to rest, regroup, and prepare for the bar exam. If you follow my plan, your bar exam summer will be more fun than law school, and your odds of passing will be dramatically higher than they will be otherwise. The caveat here is the following. If you're truly on the verge of a mental or physical breakdown, stop what you're doing and seek professional help. That's far beyond my expertise. Your health, safety, and sanity come first, even over the bar exam. Everyone else, keep going. The third of the 4th existential fear is fear of the bar exam masquerading as economic doom. Now, if you were fortunate enough to go through law school with no financial problems whatsoever, say thank you to the family, financiers, business, or God that put you in that position. But for most of us, law school is a financial challenge. We get through it by taking out big loans, borrowing from our family, working part-time, selling baseball cards online, or whatever else we can think of to do to raise money for tuition expenses. In the real world, most law students graduating or about to take the bar exam are dirt poor. Now, truth be told, most law students don't think about that during law school because they assume they're going to be a lawyer and it will all work out one way or another. But right around graduation, you have a change in attitude. You suddenly realize you haven't bought shoes in 2 years. Your car needs something. It's time to pay mom back right now. And at that point, taking the summer off to regroup seems like a good idea. And you're tired, so 6 months is a great idea anyway, right? No, not right. Barring exceptional circumstances, pushing the bar exam back for financial reasons is a terrible idea. Remember, almost everybody graduating from law school right now is poor, praying for a lawyer job, and facing student loans of biblical proportions. That's just what the game is, another aspect of the rite of passage. At one point in law school, I had $1.11 in the bank. I found it funny, to be honest. I framed it for a while. Being poor on graduation is not doom. It's not exceptional. It's the status quo for an educational system that's too expensive for its own good. But right now is not the time to fix that. And even if it was, you have more important things to do. You have to pass the bar exam. Nothing else matters in terms of legal anything right now. After you pass, you'll have an amazing tool that can do excellent things for society and can make you and your family a ton of money, which is awesome. And if you have student loans, maybe the only way out of the quagmire is to keep going and be an attorney for a while anyway. Fourth and final of the existential fears is I can't afford or I don't need to take the bar review class. And I'm going to cut to the chase here. You must take the bar review class. End of story, roll credits. Maybe you have a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend who didn't take the bar review class and somehow miraculously passed the bar exam. Good for him or her if in fact she exists and or is still sane. No matter what level of legal genius you may be, even if you're taking the bar exam for the second or third time, you must take the bar exam review class to have any reasonable expectation of passing. Even if you can access current study materials, the schedule and support system is essential to your success. You cannot go into solitary confinement for months with outlines and books, storm out of the cave and pass. And even if you could, you would be a babbling idiot from the stress. Now, the class has two components. Part one is the MBE review. Some of your buddies may not take this class. Ignore them, take the class. You're going to get mission critical tips on time allocation, strategy to narrow down your answers, and more importantly, great study materials, which must include books or online access to thousands of sample MBE questions and answers. Part two, the main guts of the bar review, is the summer-long lecture series, which covers your substantive law. Once the subject is taught in this class, it is not taught again. Ask around, do the research, find the best class for yourself. There may be limited choices. There may only be one class. It's okay. You cannot succeed in this process without taking the review class, in my opinion. Now, at this point in the game, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. And one of the aspects that makes my plan a little bit different than the average bear, so to speak, is I focus on the mental preparation. So I have 7 steps to prepare for the bar exam, all of which are important, and I'll go through them quickly here. Step number 1 is to acknowledge your success. Look, just to get the opportunity to take the bar exam in California, you had to, 1, take the LSAT, 2, apply to law schools, 3, get accepted into at least one school, 4, find the money to go to law school, 5, make family or lifestyle changes, sometimes involving a significant relationship breakup before or during year 1, it's a fact. 6, attend law school and take 4 to 7 final exams every semester. And last but not least, graduate. My point is, no matter where you went to school, no matter what grades you got, getting a law degree is a once in a lifetime achievement. You just metaphorically climbed Mount Everest. If nobody said it to you yet, allow me, congratulations. If you haven't celebrated this achievement yet, it's important that you do so. It's a big milestone, and it's important to take a second to recognize what you just did before the bar exam even starts. It can mean anything from a quiet dinner with your family to a wild party that starts in Sacramento and ends in Cleveland in the year 1976. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that you take a second and you celebrate your achievement before you move on. Step number 2 is to let law school go. It's not an easy step, but it's important and it can be done very quickly. You must forgive and forget everything and everyone. You're going to forget the money problems, the school loans, the grades, the case books, the outlines, the stress, the worries, the relationships, and the job search. Put all of it on hold. Forgive anyone who wronged you over the last 3 years who cares. And most importantly, forgive yourself for any mistakes you made over the last 3 years. Because just like day 1 of law school, your starting score on the bar exam is 0. You have to prove yourself all over again, one last time. But the happier way to look at this is you have a clean slate. You're never going to meet the people who grade your bar exam. They're not going to know or care whether you got straight A's or straight C's. They won't know your race, your gender, religion, politics, sexual preference, or anything else. They won't know if you have a job lined up or absolutely nothing. My point is, Law school is over. It's done forever. D-O-N-E, done. The bar exam is a new competition with a new and level playing field. You're starting over, and everything before now does not count. Step 3 in the mental preparation is becoming self-centered and selfish. With the exception of Hollywood, which I can tell you has nothing to do with real life whatsoever, being self-centered and selfish are typically not seen as redeeming or charming qualities in a person. But just like Hollywood, the bar exam has nothing to do with real life. The fact is, you're trying to get your legal career on track, and the stakes are very, very high. For better or worse, you're going to be self-centered and selfish this summer in all matters concerning your time. The mission to pass must be 100% about you, not your significant other, not your parents, not your law school buddies, not a future employer, you. And if this summer is not all about you, you will fail. If someone in your life doesn't understand the level of commitment required to take a bar exam, too bad for them. Your approach must not change. Be polite, be friendly, but set your study boundaries early in time, duration, and location. If being polite doesn't work, do whatever you need to do to create the time and place to study, up to and including being belligerent and rude. If there will ever be a time and place in your life to be self-centered and selfish, it's right here, right now. The caveat to that is children. If you have little kids, being self-centered and selfish is going to be challenging and or seemingly impossible. The key is to calibrate your bar exam strategy, your personal situation. Maybe for your study time, whatever hours a day, your spouse or partner assumes responsibility for the kids, and everybody understands that mommy or daddy goes to work every day. And that might be as simple as closing and locking the door. And yes, lock the door. You cannot focus 100% on your studies if you're always wondering if somebody is about to make a grand entrance. Final step in the mental preparation is to prepare to compete. Now, when you looked at the bar exam pass rate for the first time, you probably figured out it's a competition. And since it's graded on a curve, many people are going to lose that competition by definition. And in fact, in many states, most people are going to lose. There's 2 quick tips I can give to you about preparing to compete in this environment. Number 1, the bar exam pass rate is irrelevant nonsense. Don't even bother to look it up until you're done with the bar exam. At that point, you won't care. Think about that goofy statistic for a second. If the pass rate goes from 52.5% to 48%, are you going to change your schedule and study 4.5% more? No, you're not. Of course not. It's ridiculous. The only thing you can gain from thinking about the bar exam pass rate is paranoia, loss of confidence, and an inflated sense of importance regarding math. Bottom line, the pass rate is not relevant to your preparation. Tip number 2, your bar exam competitors are not relevant to your preparation. There are 2 categories of competition, professional sports: direct and indirect. The NFL, for example, is a direct competition. If the 49ers play the Steelers, the 49ers can directly affect the Steelers' performance. They can sack the quarterback, grab the football, and score a touchdown. Olympic ice skating, on the other hand, is an indirect competition. Skater 1 competes, they leave the ice. Skater 2 competes. Skater 1 has nothing to do with the performance of skater 2 and vice versa. The judging is typically entirely subjective based upon a judge's opinion, which, if you think about it, that means in an indirect competition, your only competition is with yourself. The bar exam is an indirect competition. You cannot legally control anyone else's performance, and it's silly to spend even 1 second thinking about it. The only thing you will accomplish by checking out your competition is to lose confidence. Bottom line, forget about everybody else who is taking the bar exam. This journey is about you, your performance, and your exam. Step 5 is a little counterintuitive. It's to smile. Lose the doom and gloom, throw away the sympathy cards. You don't need them. Yes, it's true. You're going to study a lot this summer. The bar exam is a difficult and intense rite of passage. But the idea that it has to be a miserable and terrible experience is fake news. It's not true. Fact is, I had an amazing and fun bar exam summer. I walked the beach twice a day, hung out with my friends, watched tons of movies, and played so much Madden football that my PlayStation surrendered and died on July 4th. True story. And then I passed the bar exam on my first try. You can do the same thing. I'm about to show you how to pass and have a great summer. Contrary to the long-held belief of some big law firms and Hollywood talent agencies, misery and stress are not a recipe for success. It's a recipe for long-term failure and grief. Yes, the bar exam requires a time commitment, but it's not 24/7. It can't be. With my plan, you're going to have enough time to study for your real-life obligations and to have some fun and adventure along the way. And furthermore, and finally, I assert it's in your best interest to have some fun and adventure this summer while you study for the bar exam, because you will be much more likely to pass if you're happy and focused. Step 6 is making a life commitment to yourself. I detail this in my book, but when you have some alone time, I advise you to look in a mirror and repeat the following out loud. I promise to give 150% effort to passing the bar exam. I will give my very best every day. Nothing but my family's health and safety will be more important than the bar exam this summer. And if I fail, so what? That last part's important. Failing is not the end of the world. And even if it was, you're not going to worry about it. Because like an athlete worrying about getting injured, worrying about failing is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you focus on trying not to fail, you will. You're trying to succeed. You're not trying to not fail. There's a big difference. This summer, do not allow anyone to mess with your self-esteem and confidence under any circumstances. If someone in your circle believes you will fail, or they have their own screwed up agenda and they secretly want you to fail, get rid of them. The stakes are far too high to allow jealous or insecure people to get in your way. The final step of mental preparation is a belligerent statement. In my book, I advise you to write or type the following 7 words on a piece of paper in giant all caps font, bold type. The 7 words are as follows. I will pass this easy freaking exam. I don't use the word freaking in the book. I use the actual F word, but for purposes of this video lecture, I will pass this easy freaking exam. When you start to doubt yourself, you're going to pull the paper out and read it out loud 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, whatever it takes to get the belligerent and focused chip back onto your shoulder. Let go of all fear, be reckless and relentless, and don't worry about what anyone else thinks. Don't worry about failing. Hesitation or half-assed effort on your part will end in failure anyway. You're not going to take the California bar exam. You're going to own the California bar exam. Now, let's get into the actual bar exam itself and the plan. The foundation of my plan is called time wall theory. To build a time wall around any activity means to perform that activity exclusively, AKA you're not going to do anything else whatsoever. It's the opposite of multitasking and the most important principle I have to offer you today. This summer, you're going to have 3 areas of your day-to-day life. 1, your bar exam study time. 2, real-life obligations. And 3, what I call me time. You're going to build a time wall around all 3 areas, as I'm about to discuss. This will allow each area to work together in harmony. You'll get everything done, and you're going to avoid the stress, chaos, and panic that are going to envelop your buddies around June 20th. Now let's look at each area in detail. First is bar exam study time. This is the most obvious category, right? It's your bar review class, practice exams, memorizing outlines, taking MBE questions. This summer, you're going to build a time wall around all of your study time. Now, in the year 2020, that means checking out of social media while you study for the bar. I understand that almost no one today does anything without simultaneously checking in or posting it on social media. But in terms of the bar exam, that will only devastate your time efficiency, and it will hurt your ability to pass. So for example, if you're going to study torts for 2 hours, you're going to study torts for 2 hours and you're not going to do anything else. The video games go off, the phone goes off, the computer goes off unless you're using it to study. Every distraction goes away and you only study torts. The only exception is if you have always studied with music on in the background, stick with that plan. No other distractions are allowed. If you intended to have any other level of focus while you study, forget it, it's doomed. Also, ditch the study group theory for the bar exam. You will not get everything done. It will only slow you down. Ditto for drinking alcohol while you study. It will slow you down. Bottom line, there are 2 modes. You either study for the bar exam or you do not study for the bar exam. If you find yourself half studying, disinterested, bored, going through the motions, close the book, go for a walk, play a video game, call your mom, do something else for a while and come back to it. There are only 2 modes, as I said, you study or you do not. There's not a half middle ground. It does you absolutely no good. The second category in your day-to-day life this summer are your real life obligations. Contrary to popular belief, real life can't stop during the bar exam. You might have to go to the dentist. You might have to go to the grocery store. You might have to walk your dog. There are going to be things that you're going to have to do every day in real life. The key to getting it all done and not having a nervous breakdown along the way is time wall theory. You're going to build a time wall around your real life obligations as well. So, for example, if you're going to walk your dog and enjoy it. Take the time. Don't drag the little beast around the block and run back because you have to go back to the land of torts. Until the walk is over, forget torts. Don't take your Civ Pro outline to the grocery store. It looks ridiculous. You're not going to learn anything. You compartmentalize everything, including your real life obligations. As the bar exam approaches, your study time will naturally increase. Your availability for family and social events will decrease. That's cool. Just go with the flow. You'll feel it. 2 tips along that lines. One is shelf the guilt. Don't feel guilty about skipping your Aunt Patty's birthday party because you need to study. She'll understand. If she doesn't, too bad for her. Success tip number 2, shelve the stress. This summer, global warming, COVID-19, the war in Ukraine, any other big picture issue are somebody else's problem. You have a bar exam to pass. And if you want to help solve the climate crisis or whatever, the absolute best thing you could do is to pass the bar and use your law license and skill set to solve that problem. You're not going to solve it this summer. It's on the shelf. The third and final category of real life or your life this summer is what I call me time. And this is where I break, contradict, and argue against every known bar exam, study rule, convention, theory, and tradition. And I don't care, unapologetically. Me time is a scheduled time, at least 90 minutes every day, from day 1 until about 10 days before you take the bar exam, where you're going to take time off from your legal studies and do something fun. Take a walk, watch a movie, play a video game, write a screenplay, learn Spanish, whatever. It's all good. Once a day, you're going to check out at the bar exam and do something that has nothing whatsoever to do with the law, and you're going to have fun. Time wall theory is mission critical to this. Your book should not be anywhere near you. For example, you're going to watch a baseball game, put on your Giants or Dodgers cap, turn the TV up and go nuts. Have a hot dog and beer, Stretch in the seventh inning, cheer for every pitch until your neighbors call the cops. Your law outlines and books, again, should not even be in your line of sight. If you use time off theory, your power to get things done will increase dramatically, and you'll have time to do everything. In fact, you'll have so much free time, the experience might appear to be semi-ridiculous. You might even feel guilty. Don't. Fact, you can and should have an incredible summer, maybe the most fun of your life. When and where else can you spend a few months focused on one mission, and where having fun every day is an important part of that mission? You won't. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Time off theory will enable your studies, real-life obligations, and me time all to live happily ever after and succeed together. Now, let's talk about the bar exam components itself. The California bar exam, as you probably know by now, has 3 parts. First, 5 essay questions. Second, the multi-state bar exam, which is AKA 200 multiple choice questions, and the performance test. Day 1, you have the 3 essay questions in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and the performance exam. Day 2 is the fun day, MBE. 100 questions in the morning, 100 questions in the afternoon, you're done. Now, let's talk about in detail how to kill all of the main 3 components of the bar exam. First is the MBE. As I said before, it's a 200 question multiple choice exam with 25 questions each from 7 subject areas: Civ Pro, Con Law, Contracts, Criminal Law and Procedure, Evidence, Real Property, and Torts. If you're one of the precious few law students in the world with math skills, you probably noticed that the math doesn't work. 7 times 25 is 175, not 200. That's because 25 of the MBE questions are not scored. Why? Who knows and who cares? There's no realistic way to determine which MBE questions are unscored. So for your purpose, there are 200 questions, all of which are followed by 4 answers. The MBE counts for about 50% of your bar exam score, and that's a percentage that's as relevant to your future as a lawyer as knowing the Chicago Bears passing completion percentage in 1971. Statistics that are amusing, 42%, but not useful. At best, it tells you the MBE is important. Forget about the math. The most important thing that you need to know about the MBE is the questions are very, very, very difficult. These are not the multiple choice questions that let you sail through social studies in the 8th grade. They rank among the most difficult multiple choice questions in the world across the entire academic spectrum, not just legal studies. They're designed to be impossible to answer by intelligent people such as yourself who have studied for months with their career on the line. Ponder that for a second. The good news, I figured the MBE out. The key to success is answer pattern recognition coupled with a daily repetitive process for analyzing the answers. And I distilled this down to 6 golden rules. Golden rule number 1 for the MBE: start fast and start early. After the MBE class, most law students typically work on the MBE questions every couple of days. Fast forward a couple of weeks, they take an actual exam, they finish, calculate their score, and then panic. And this panic either leads to success or failure on the MBE, but in either way, it involves horrible cramming sessions and sleep deprivation. I advise you to forget that approach. It doesn't work, you don't need the stress. The fact is, you don't have enough time to prepare for the MBE this summer in that fashion. In terms of the MBE prep, I advise you to be like a Formula One race car driver and get the fastest, AKA earliest start possible. There is absolutely no downside to starting early on the MBE. Spend at least 90 minutes a day on the MBE question, and that's a minimum. If you have a free day, a Saturday with nothing to do, spend 8 hours on the MBE early in the game. Sounds insane? you will thank yourself for that 1 day time investment. There's absolutely no downside to putting in the time early. The reason is the MBE is like learning Italian or playing the piano. It's a skill set that can only be developed over time. It is not possible to cram right before the bar exam and take the MBE, zero. And that has nothing to do with your intelligence. It's just not possible. The secret to the MBE is answer pattern recognition. Contrary to popular belief, it's not legal knowledge. It is answer pattern recognition. And to get that requires a ton of patience, time, and recognition. I'm going to explain how to get that in a second. Golden rule number 2 of the MBE is to ignore your success rate for the first month. When you start working on the MBE, your success rate might hover around 18 to 20%, which is, as you know, will make you fail the bar exam. That is not a travesty. That's par for the course. Ignore it. Who cares? Keep going. Golden rule number 3, build a time wall around your MBE study. Fact, it's better to spend 15 minutes focused on the MBE questions than 2 hours half immersed in social media and kind of sort of going through MBE. Enough said. Golden rule number 4, acquire MBE answer pattern recognition. Okay, pay attention. This is how you do it. You're going to work on MBE questions. After you get 10 of questions done, put the pen down. Get off the keyboard, whatever method you're using. Go back to the answers and read the answers to all 10 questions. Whether you got the question right or wrong has no relevance. You're going to go back and read the correct answer to all 10. This is mindless, it's tedious, but it is not difficult nor optional. It works. By utilizing this technique, your ability to recognize the patterns in the answers will increase quickly and dramatically. Remember, the name of the game is time. You don't have 3 years to figure this out. You have 90 days at best if you get a very early start. After a few weeks of doing this, you're going to begin to see the inherent patterns in the MBE answers. And then one day, out of the blue, the correct answer for an MBE question is going to jump off the page. You're going to know what it is instantly. You're going to feel like a genius. It's going to feel magical. The fact is, that's where you just put in enough hours to transcend the read the question and ponder the answer level of MBE. That's the light at the end of the tunnel. Keep running towards it. Every question that you can knock out instantly through answer pattern recognition buys you a ton of time to answer other questions. As your summer progresses, your substantive law review and your bar review course will organically increase your MBE score. The only way to realistically improve your MBE score is not to be intelligent, not to know the law upside down. It's to put in the time every day, like learning Italian, like playing the piano. Golden rule 5, disarm the MBE landmine. No matter how prepared you are, there will be at least always 1 or 2 or 4 questions that are so incredibly complicated, they might as well be written in upside down Esperanto. And you're going to have no idea what the answer is, 0. This is the landmine. And the examiners are trying to throw you off your game. They want you to waste time. They want you to get it wrong. They're trying to cause confusion and panic. That doesn't make them evil. The reason that MBE landmines exist is because they must filter out some people. They're trying to filter out among the best and the brightest in the world, you, because if the MBE does not filter anybody out, if everyone can get all 200 correct, the MBE has absolutely no value to the bar exam whatsoever. So what do you do when you hit the MBE landmine? The key is not in the question, but in your response. Here's how to do it. First, eliminate all wrong answers. 2, select the correct answer if it's there. 3, eliminate the wrong answers again. 4, select the correct answer. Step 5, if you don't know, guess. ready, go, guess and go. Go to the next one. If you keep worrying about it, after you move on, the landmine just claimed another victim, and that's you. My personal experience with this method is I was able to get up to 95% pass rate, 95% correct on the MBE. The night before the bar exam, it dropped down to 40, and I believe that I was overstudying, which is correct. I threw my books in the garbage and I relaxed and I went and I took the exam and it was fine. I see we're running a little bit short on time. Going to move on to the essay questions. The essay question portion tests your memory, reasoning, and analytical thinking. They pick 5 of the 17 areas to test you on. And as I said, each essay question is designed to be answered in 1 hour. The essay questions represent about 35.7% of your bar exam, a completely irrelevant statistic, who cares? Preparing for the essay exams. 1, you're going to build a time wall around your bar review class and your study time. Whether your class is virtual or live, the same concept applies at the time wall. You never treat it differently. 2, one of the most important facets of the plan is to update your outlines as you go. If you have a bar review class that's, let's say, 1/3 of the torts material, that same day, you're going to take that material, you're going to enter it, whether if you wrote it, you're going to enter it in your outline, and you're going to take your notes and you're going to throw them away. You're going to get them away. The concept is, as you go, you're going to build the final outline that you're going to use to study for the bar exam. You don't have time to rush at the end and do 17 outlines. Every class must result in a finished outline, good to go, ready, done, or you're doomed. Sorry to say it so directly, but that's the case. When you're done with the outline, you're going to close the universe, as I just said. You don't need your old notes. You don't need the study review. You don't need anything else. You just need your final outline and you're going to build it. Thus, the entire time, the entire summer, you're going to be looking at the same outline that you're going to be looking at the day before the bar exam. It's not in law school, you wait and you create your outline, maybe kind of, and then the last 2 weeks, oh my God, here we go. That's not how you study for the bar exam. The bar exam is the opposite. When you're done with that torts class, your torts outline must be 100% done and ready. Number 4, and this is one of the most important tips I have to offer you. Studying, typically memorizing an outline in law school is done like this. You stare at the outline in a trance. For the bar exam, it's all about building muscle memory. You're going to, instead of staring at your outline, you're going to type your outline or you're going to write your outline every day. Whatever method you're going to use on the bar exam, that's the method you're going to use. So that when you get to the actual bar exam, the speed and the efficiency that outline will jump to the forefront of what you're doing. It'll be muscle memory. You'll be able to do it by instinct. You won't be spending time thinking, oh, what is the torts out? It'll just pour out of your hands. Now, that will organically transform over the summer. As you get the outline in your head and your hands, you can do it in acronyms. You'll be able to write less. But the key is you're going to need that skill set to reproduce all 17 outlines by the end. Now, school of thought number 1 for essay exams is to take as many practice exams as possible, give yourself the same time limit, and write the whole thing out. School of thought number 2 is that school of thought number 1 is a total waste of time, which is my view. If your outline is internalized and memorized in your hands, you don't need to write out hundreds of practice exams. It's busy work. Once you know for certain you can write out an essay question in 1 hour, change your focus to outlining the answers only. It is far better and more efficient to go through many, many, many examples and get the skill set of transferring your outline and outlining your answer than it is to do the busy work of endlessly writing until you have carpal tunnel syndrome. So tactical execution for essay exams, time management, as I said, it's dog simple. It's 1 hour. Second, relax, read, and outline your answer. If you panic, chill out, take a second, close your eyes, relax, come back to it. Don't spend a second worrying about where the law is going to come from. You know where it's going to come from. It's going to come from your hands. You're going to write out the issue and the rule. Perhaps in one sentence, brevity and clarity are key. Then you're going to write out the analysis. If your law school transcript has C's all over it, there's one reason and one reason only. You never learned how to answer an essay question. It has nothing to do with your intelligence nor your ability to become a great lawyer, but it's a red flag for the bar. You remember IRAC, issue, rule, analysis, and conclusion. The bar examiners are solely and exclusively looking at your analysis. Being able to quote a statute verbatim does not make you a great lawyer. It makes you Wikipedia with feet. It is not helpful. One quote from the bar exam is this, from the actual California bar. If your answer contains only a statement of your conclusions, you will receive little or no credit. Think about that. Bottom line, lawyers analyze facts. Finally, draft your conclusion. Forget about being 100% correct. There's no such thing. Don't waste time worrying about it's ultimately right or not in the real world. Nobody cares. This isn't the real world. You're going to draw a logical conclusion based upon your analysis of the facts as they were presented. Finally, you're going to CYA and argue the other side briefly. However, based upon the foregoing facts, a court can reasonably conclude that Johnny did not violate the statute because blah, blah, blah. This counter argument is insurance against the bar examiner who is convinced there's a correct answer. And it also, more importantly, demonstrates you're thinking about possible counter arguments or alternatives to your position, which is what great lawyers do. Finally, the third component of the bar exam is the performance test. This is where you get, it tests your ability to handle a select number of legal authorities in the context of a factual problem involving a hypothetical client. You're going to get the case file and the library. This is the part of the exam. Nobody fails small. You either do fine or you crash and burn and fail the bar. It's very simple. The reason is it's designed not to be completed in the 90 minutes that you have. If you follow my plan and you get your outline in your hands, this will not be difficult. This will be easy, if not fun. As you know, you're asked to draft anything from a legal memo to a brief to a client or witness interview, negotiations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever the format is, the same concept applies. The performance test universe is closed. You're not going to use any other law or anything outside of that universe. And it's essentially the same technique as for the essay exams. You're going to identify the category of performance test. You're going to outline the answer. And then you're going to write down the answer. And many school, again, the school of thought that is predominant, especially in classes to prepare for this, is to write out or type out exam answer after exam after exam answer. I completely disagree with that. The reason is, to pass this part of the bar exam, you must be completely cognizant of the different types of questions that they may ask and know what the format is. No rush from us if you go over time. Rock and roll, thank you. Reading a note from the Beverly Hills Bar, thank you, awesome. So, to take a performance exam test, you're simply going to identify the category, right? If you've done enough performance exam practice exams, this should be easy. You're going to identify the category, outline the answer, and then write the answer out. The difference, the only difference between a performance test answer and an essay answer is that your performance answer has to be tailored to the document that the performance test requires. This might be ridiculously simple, such as putting "Dear Client" at the top and "Sincerely Lawyer" at the bottom, or it might take a little bit of creativity on your part. The concept is, if you have the outlines in your hands, then you have the speed required to knock this out. Then it is literally fun to think about, okay, how can I couch my legal argument in the context of the legal memo to the partner at the hypothetical law firm. The one red alert in California for the performance test, and this throws a lot of people off. A lot of times they will invent the fictitious state of Colombia. Colombia is an imaginary state with imaginary laws that may or may not resemble real life California law. In the heat of battle, it is, especially because it almost looks like the same word, it's very, very easy to get the two confused and turn your performance test into a train wreck. You have to be very, very careful. If they say Colombia, there probably will be, and I can guarantee you, there will be a few differences in the law. The bottom line, be careful if you're in the world of Colombia. Now, my 7 final thoughts for the bar exam. The common denominator of the MBE questions, the essay exam, and the performance test is all the same. It's answer pattern recognition, not busy work. That's why I focus so much on going through the outlines and looking at as many sample answers as possible. As soon as you know you can do, for example, an essay exam in 1 hour, move on. Go into hyperspace mode, get as many done as you can, simply outlining. There's no need, you're not practicing penmanship or your typing ability. You need to be able to recognize the answer and outline it. Number 2, the absolute easiest way to improve your chances of passing this summer is to dive into the MBE questions as early and relentlessly as you possibly can. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you have a day with 8 hours free, spend the 8 hours. It's graded by a computer. There's no subjectivity whatsoever. And as I said, I had my success rate up to 95%. It is possible to hit that extreme range. I was told by a professor once, if you hit above 85%, I believe he said, you will pass the bar regardless of how you do on any other parts. I don't know if that urban legend is true or not, but that's what inspired me to dive into the MBE early, and I was very successful at it. Number 3, ignore the California bar exam pass rate and ignore your competitors. They have no relevance to your life whatsoever this summer, 0. Number 4, time wall theory is essential for my plan to work. During your bar exam study time, you must check out of social media. Ignore that advice at your peril. And if you feel like ignoring that advice, consider what it would be like to fail and to lose 6 months minimum of lawyer money from your future bank account. It will not be pleasant. You can lose Facebook for a couple hours while you study torts. It's okay. It might be hard at first. It's all good. 5, preparing for the bar exam is a marathon, not a sprint. Accordingly, me time is equally important to your success on the bar exam as your study time. If you don't take time out every day for yourself, you're going to burn out by July 1st. And you're going to go into the bar exam frazzled and probably crash and burn. Please take the time to have fun. If you use the plan in my book, and as I described here today, you're going to have an awesome summer. Because during law school, you probably do not take time out every day to do something fun. It's essential, mission critical during the bar exam. Number 6, avoid doom and gloom attitudes at all costs. If somebody in your life is sapping your self-esteem, get away from them for the summer if you can. The stakes are too high. Your time is too precious for mind games and nonsense. You don't have the time. It's too important. 7, and finally, thank you for attending this webinar and reading my book if you do. My book goes a little bit more in depth than I went today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you pass the bar exam and find happiness through your legal career. Thank you so much. Ciao.